The boos didn't start right away. At first, it was just awkward silence. The kind of quiet that settles over a stadium when everyone knows what just happened, but no one wants to say out loud yet. Then, the replay hit the screen, and there it was again, Dillon Gabriel, flat-footed in the pocket, surrounded by pressure he never saw coming, the ball flying loose like a bar of soap. Fumble. Again. And that's when the boos started. Loud. Relentless. Unforgiving. The kind of reaction that tells you the fans aren't just upset. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. They're done pretending. Because here's the thing. You can forgive a bad game. You can forgive a bad quarter. But when you get multiple chances in ideal conditions and you still crumble like a house of dollar store cards, people start asking questions. And right now, all of Cleveland is asking the same one. Why is Dillon Gabriel still getting these reps? Let's not sugarcoat it. This preseason has been a disaster for Gabriel. An outright mess. From joint practices to in-game snaps, he's looked like a quarterback stuck in quicksand. No rhythm. No composure. No feel for pressure. It's like watching someone try to play Madden in real life using only the Ask Coach button. And the Browns coaching staff? Instead of pulling the plug, they just keep doubling down. Week after week, rep after rep, Gabriel gets another shot to prove he belongs. And week after week, it's the same story. Hesitation, poor footwork, rushed throws, bad decisions, zero adaptability. At this point, it's not even frustrating. It's insulting. Because while Gabriel's out here tossing incompletions like party favors and ducking invisible pressure ghosts, Shedeur Sanders is standing on the sidelines. Injured, yes, but very much present. And very much being ignored. And fans aren't having it. Let's take it back to joint practices with the Eagles. Day 8 of camp. Gabriel goes 3 for 14. Let that sink in. 11 missed passes in a controlled environment. That's not just rust. That's a quarterback who's completely out of sync with the speed of the game. Then came the next session. 5 dropbacks. 4 sacks. 1 completion. Not under duress. Not with backups. That was with a solid offensive line, protection schemes in place, and 0 excuses. And still, Gabriel got swallowed up by pressure like he was trying to hide from it. You want to know what leadership doesn't look like? That's what it doesn't look like. And yet, Kevin Stefanski kept trotting him out like it was business as usual, as if giving him more reps was going to suddenly teach him how to feel a collapsing pocket or read a linebacker lurking in zone. Meanwhile, the crowd is begging, screaming for Shedeur, not because he's perfect, not because he's flashy, but because he's calm, disciplined, reliable. When Sanders was healthy, he made smart throws, extended drives, protected the football. He didn't get the first team reps, but he made the second string look first class. He didn't make headlines. He made progress. Every single snap. And yet, when Gabriel fumbled the ball again on what should have been a routine pass-protected dropback, Stefanski didn't blink. No sideline scolding. No changes. Just more coach speak. We're going to keep evaluating. Dillon's working through it. He's learning. Learning? He's learning on borrowed time, and at the expense of a player who's been more consistent, more composed, and frankly, more deserving of those opportunities since day one. And now, the whispers are getting louder. Rumors are circulating that Shedeur is dealing with a minor injury, that his reps have been limited not because of performance, but because of caution. Fine, fair enough. But even with that caveat, the question remains. When Shedeur is healthy, why isn't he starting? Let's be real. If the roles were reversed and Sanders was the one fumbling away games, missing 11 passes in practice, and getting sacked 4 out of 5 times, he wouldn't just be benched. He'd be buried. The leash would be non-existent. But Gabriel, he fumbles, and they give him a towel. He implodes, and they hand him a clipboard. He stalls the offense, and they praise his growth. It's a joke. A frustrating, tone-deaf, painfully transparent joke. And Browns fans are over it. You can feel the tension building. the collective side eyes from the crowd, the awkward pauses during post-game interviews, the press conferences where the coaching staff dances around obvious questions like they're auditioning for, so you think you can avoid accountability. And it all comes back to one thing, quarterback politics. Because this has never been about who's better. This has always been about who the Browns want to be better. They picked Gabriel, invested in Gabriel, scripted a development arc for Gabriel. And now that he's flailing in every possible way, they're terrified to pivot, terrified to admit they miscalculated, terrified that maybe, just maybe, the kid they overlooked, the one who's been solid, calm, and unbothered this entire time, might actually be the better option. And yes, Sanders has had his bumps. He's not the biggest guy on the field. He's taken a few hits that shook him. But you know what he hasn't done? He hasn't crumbled. He hasn't panicked under pressure. He hasn't fumbled away clean snaps. He hasn't spent practices throwing prayers into coverage. He's played like someone who understands the job. Someone who's already doing more with less. And now he's sidelined, watching the guy ahead of him burn through opportunity after opportunity, while the team pretends like there's no better option. But here's the twist no one's talking about. The moment Shedeur is healthy, this entire QB room explodes. Because once he's medically cleared, there are no more excuses. The fan base won't tolerate another Gabriel fumble. The locker room won't ignore who commands a huddle better. The media won't keep swallowing Stefanski's vanilla platitudes. The microscope is already there. But when Sanders comes back, it's going to be a full-on spotlight, and the clock is ticking. For Gabriel, it's not just about getting better anymore. It's about survival. He has to fix everything, his pocket awareness, his timing, his rhythm, his confidence, now. Because once Shedeur suits up again, the leash snaps. One more fumble, one more misread, one more drive that ends in nothing, and the crowd's going to demand Sanders. Not next week, not next month, immediately. And here's the thing, Gabriel knows it. You can see it in how tight he's playing. Every dropback is rushed, every movement stiff. He's overthinking every throw like it might be his last, because deep down, he knows it might be. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a backup. He's the better quarterback. And the fans, they see it. The team, they feel it. Now the Browns have a choice to make. Stick with the fumbler or bet on the future. And if they choose wrong, don't expect this fan base to sit quietly anymore. Because at this point, it's not just about football anymore. It's about trust. It's about how long the Cleveland Browns can keep looking their fans in the eyes and insisting that this is fine. That Dillon Gabriel, who can't go 5 snaps without coughing up the ball or missing a wide-open check down, is still the best option under center. And let's be very clear, this isn't just a Shedeur versus Dillon thing. This is bigger. This is about the front office, the coaching staff, and how they handle accountability, how they respond when the evidence starts stacking up in front of them and says, you got it wrong. Because what we're witnessing isn't a quarterback competition anymore. It's a slow, awkward unraveling of a team trying to force a narrative that's already falling apart at the seams. And it's happening in real time. Every time Gabriel drops back and panics, every time he misses another open throw, every time he walks off the field looking shell-shocked, it chips away at the illusion that he's developing. This isn't development. This is denial. You can't develop into a starting quarterback when you can't execute the basics. And you definitely don't get to do on the job while a more composed, more reliable option stands ready, waiting on the sideline like a human insurance policy with cleats. Let's go back to the joint practice fiasco one more time. Because it wasn't just a bad day, it was a statement. A 20% completion rate, sacked on 4 or 5 dropbacks. That's not just learning under pressure. That's drowning in it. And worse, the pressure wasn't exotic. It wasn't some Belichick defensive scheme pulled from the underworld. It was vanilla, basic, day one stuff. And Gabriel still folded. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, before the injury, was out here running clean drives with the backups, throwing strikes, moving the pocket with confidence, operating like the game wasn't too big for him. And maybe that's what stings the most. It's not that Sanders is flashy or freakishly athletic. He's not. It's that he's prepared. He's mature. He's a student of the game. He doesn't rely on chaos. He avoids it. And yet somehow, the Browns still see Gabriel as the upside play. What upside? Where? We've seen the floor. Turnovers, sacks, erratic decisions. But where's the ceiling? Where's the breakout performance? The moment where everything clicks and Gabriel shows us why this franchise has put its faith in him? Because it hasn't come. Not in training camp. Not in preseason. Not in any setting. It's just been more of the same. A quarterback who looks better in theory than in practice. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe Stefanski and company fell in love with the idea of Gabriel. The leadership platitudes. The post-game quotes. The highlight tape from college. The swagger. The sound bites. But the NFL doesn't run on sound bites. It runs on execution. And Shedeur, when healthy, executes. This is a guy who's been doubted at every level, who followed his father into one of the most scrutinized programs in the country and still delivered, who came into the NFL with a microscope on him and still never cracked under pressure. You don't fake that kind of poise. And you don't keep it on the bench while the guy ahead of him fumbles away drive after drive. And sure, maybe the injury is why Shedeur hasn't been active. But even with that, the gap in quality is so obvious that it's become painful to watch. Gabriel isn't just struggling. He's regressing. And the Browns? They're treating it like a hiccup. It's not. It's a symptom of a bigger issue. A coaching staff too committed to being right, even when they're wrong. And the fans? They see it. They're not buying excuses anymore. Every post-game interview that praises effort and progress feels like gaslighting when the stat sheet reads like a crime scene. You can't fumble twice, miss throws by 5 yards, and then get a gold star for trying. This is the NFL. You either perform or you don't. And Shedeur, he performs. He's not loud about it. He's not out here campaigning for the job, but he earns it. Every time he steps on the field, he plays like someone who knows he has to prove himself every single snap. He's not a project. He's not a placeholder. He's a quarterback, and the Browns need to start treating him like one, because this situation is spiraling fast. The fan base is already on edge. The locker room is eyes. And if the team keeps pushing Gabriel out there while Sanders sits in the wings, quietly waiting for a fair shake, it's going to blow up. And it won't be on Gabriel. It won't be on Shedeur. It'll be on Stefanski. Because this isn't about favoritism or bad luck anymore. It's about refusing to adapt. And if Stefanski doesn't act soon, if he keeps handing the ball to a quarterback who can't hold on to it, the damage could go far beyond a few preseason games. You lose the locker room, you lose everything. Because players talk. They know who's putting in the work. They know who's making progress and who's barely hanging on. And they know when the guy under center is being protected by the coaches, not respected by the team. And right now, that's Dillon Gabriel. There's no more room for spin. No more time for wishful thinking. The tape is the tape. The numbers don't lie. The fans definitely aren't lying. They've been screaming the same thing for weeks. He's no Shedeur Sanders. And they're right. Not in composure. Not in poise. Not in preparation. Not in execution. And if this team has any interest in winning, or even just being honest, then the moment Shedeur Sanders is healthy, this quarterback debate needs to end. Because one guy talks about competing, and the other guy, he is the competition. And here's where it really gets dramatic, because it has to. At this point, the Dillon Gabriel experiment isn't just a failed test drive. It's a flaming crash on the side of the road while the mechanics keep insisting. It's fine, just needs a little tune-up. Sir, the engine is gone. The wheels are in the stands. The fans are on fire. And Shedeur Sanders is standing there in full gear with a spare car. Clean, ready, running. And somehow, the Browns won't hand the keys. It's almost comical, if it weren't so predictable, because you've seen this script before. The highly touted guy struggles, but the team keeps pushing him because they can't admit they got it wrong. Meanwhile, the less flashy option, the one who shows up early, executes the plays, gets respect from teammates, that guy stays on the bench until everything burns down and they have to turn to him. And when they do, Oh, wow. Look how calm he is. He really understands the offense. Why didn't we play him sooner? You didn't play him sooner because ego is a hell of a drug. Let's call it what it is. The Browns are prioritizing pride over progress. And Dillon Gabriel is the unfortunate centerpiece of that decision. No shade to him as a person. He's confident, hardworking, probably a great guy to have in the locker room. But on the field, he's giving deer in headlights. He's giving still adjusting to the speed of the game. He's giving not ready, and worse, he's giving the defense short fields and the offense no rhythm. This is what fans mean when they say he's no Shedeur Sanders. It's not just about talent. It's about composure. It's about execution. It's about who makes people around him better, not more stressed out. And Shedeur, he doesn't just get through drives. He orchestrates them. Every rep he's taken has been intentional. Every drive, an audition. And every single time he steps onto that field, even in limited preseason reps, he brings something Gabriel hasn't shown once. Command. He's not rattled. He doesn't flinch when protection breaks down. He doesn't throw prayer balls into triple coverage. He gets rid of the ball when he should. He tucks and runs smartly. He knows what he's doing and why he's doing it. That's what quarterbacks do. You don't need a cannon arm or a Heisman resume to lead an NFL offense. You need timing, maturity, and presence. And Sanders has it. What he doesn't have, favoritism. And that's what makes this whole situation feel like a slow-motion betrayal. Because he's done everything right. Everything they've asked. He's been coachable. He's been quiet. He's stayed ready. And he's produced when it matters. And still they're rolling out Gabriel like the world is blind. And look, let's talk about the injury for a second. Because yes, Shedeur tweaked something. But if he were seriously sidelined, if he were really not ready to go, the coaching staff would be honest about that. They'd say, we're giving Dillon reps while Shedeur recovers. Simple, clean, but they're not saying that. They're pretending this is performance-based. They're pretending the guy who can't complete a screen pass under pressure is somehow still ahead of the guy who just led the team to multiple touchdown drives a few weeks ago with the poise of a 10-year vet. Make it make sense. Because from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like a football decision anymore. It looks like politics. It looks like someone in the building staked their reputation on Gabriel, and they're not ready to walk it back, no matter how obvious it gets. But let's not forget, every decision has a shelf life, and Gabriel's is starting to smell spoiled. You can feel the tension in every incomplete pass, in every third down sack, in every snap that ends in a punt. The crowd groans a little louder. The players jog off the field a little slower. Even the commentators are running out of euphemisms. He's still developing. He just needs to settle in. Got to get that timing down. Okay, but how long does settling in take before it just becomes settling? And it's not like the team has years to wait around. This is a roster built to compete. The defense is hungry. The run game is solid. There are weapons at wide receiver. But if the quarterback can't move the chains, none of it matters. Which brings us right back to Shedeur, the guy who's not the loudest, not the flashiest, not the franchise's first choice, but the one who, when it comes to actual production, has been the most consistent player in the quarterback room. And yeah, he's not perfect. He's still learning. He's still growing. But you know what he hasn't done? He hasn't lost control of a game in 5 snaps. He hasn't made the offensive line look worse than it is. He hasn't made the fan base start tweeting, put in literally anyone else. And look, Stefanski can keep pretending. He can keep fielding questions with bland, press-approved answers about rotation and long-term evaluation. But eventually, someone in that building is going to have to pull the fire alarm and say, we're wasting time. Because the more you stall, the harder it gets to rebuild momentum. The more you pretend this isn't happening, the more credibility you lose. The longer you ride with the wrong guy, the more you risk burning the right one out completely. Shedeur Sanders didn't come into Cleveland to be a placeholder. He came in to compete. And unlike Gabriel, he doesn't need a press conference to remind people of that. He doesn't need to puff his chest out or throw passive-aggressive shade in interviews. His tape speaks for itself. His leadership, quiet but present. His throws, not flashy but smart. His energy, not loud but contagious. And at some point, whether it's the next fumble, the next sack, the next 3 and out, the Browns are going to have no choice but to make the change. Not because it'll be trendy, not because the fans are begging, but because reality will force their hand. Because you can't fake a QB competition forever. Eventually, the better player wins. And when that moment comes, don't be surprised when Shedeur walks in like he's already been there the whole time. Because he has. He's just been waiting for everyone else to catch up. You want to talk about loyalty? Try being a Browns fan in 2025. Try showing up to preseason game after preseason game, watching the same busted plays, the same missed reads, the same quarterback meltdown, and still being told, just be patient. Patient for what exactly? Because if you were in that stadium, if you were watching Dillon Gabriel fumble another snap like he was allergic to leather, you know the patience wore out around the third quarter. You know the booing didn't come from nowhere. It came from a decade of deja vu. Every time Gabriel dropped back, the anxiety in the stands was palpable. You could feel it. Fans holding their breath, not out of excitement, but out of fear. Fear of another drive-killing sack. Fear of another check down short of the sticks. Fear of another handoff botch because Gabriel forgot what direction the play was going. And then there was the fumble, the backbreaker. Midway through the second quarter, Gabriel took the snap, scanned, too slowly and panicked. The rush came, but it wasn't even exotic. Just a simple 4-man stunt. A middle linebacker barely disguised his blitz. And Gabriel froze, held the ball too long, tried to spin out backwards like he was playing backyard football. Pop! Ball hits the turf. Opposing defense scoops it up, runs it back 20 yards. And just like that, field position lost, momentum shattered, and every ounce of goodwill from the previous week erased in one dumb, indecisive play. And what happened next? Crickets. No sideline chew-out. No accountability. Just more of the same blank stares from the coaching staff. Stefanski, ever the stoic, stood with arms crossed, headset on, like this wasn't his offense actively imploding in front of him. Meanwhile, you've got Shedeur Sanders, helmet in hand, pacing, itching to play, not saying a word, not making a scene, just watching, processing, waiting. And you know he saw that fumble and thought, give me that drive. Because here's the difference between Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. One of them plays like he wants it. The other plays like he's trying not to lose it. There's a weight to playing quarterback in the NFL. It's not just about arm talent. It's about how you carry it. Can you lead men in a huddle? Can you stay calm when the pocket's crashing? Can you bounce back from a mistake without unraveling?